The case itself, we've charged 2 counts of premeditated first-degree murder. 2 victims were shot in the father's home, the father and the son, with a .22 caliber handgun. By reason of the investigation, which was thoroughly done by the RCMP, we assert that it is planned and premeditated murder. The defendant, from our perspective, gave an inculpatory statement in which he articulated that motivation about an occurrence that took place with the grandfather of the younger victim and the father of the older victim, who was involved in a motor vehicle accident with Mr. Vuozzo's family in 1970. Mr. McGuigan, who had been charged with criminal negligence causing death, was found guilty after a trial of dangerous operation. He was sentenced to 9 months jail in Georgetown. Mr. Vuozzo would have been an infant, only a couple of years old, but in the motor vehicle with his mother, father, and 2 sisters, one of which, Kathy, senior sister of 9 years of age, was ejected through the front windshield and died on the scene. Mr. Vuozzo, from the Crown's perspective, gave a fully inculpatory statement after chartered caution, articulating that his motive, so that to characterize it as a revenge homicide, or them as revenge homicides, this is what he articulated was the motivation. So the characterization of a revenge murder, well, the Crown will rely on that motive as articulated by him. Both were planned and premeditated murders. The fact is, Mr. Vuozzo did not know these 2 men. He did not know them, and neither of these 2 men were anything other than a father and son communicating like they did every evening, and having discussions in the father's home about work, as fathers and sons often do. He walked into the home and he shot them both multiple times and killed them. So from the Crown's perspective, it is planned and premeditated murder, and that's not only our theory of the case, that's how we will proceed with it. These 2 men, from all accounts, were good, hardworking men, had no involvement whatsoever in the motor vehicle accident years ago at all. This gentleman had no familiarity with them other than knowing who they were. It's unusual in the sense that although the gentleman articulated his motivation, it makes absolutely no sense from the perspective of selecting 2 innocent men who had no involvement in a perceived wrong that his direct perception of as a 2-year-old would be minimal. They had no involvement in it. They were in the father's home having a discussion like they did frequently, and were shot dead. Mrs. McGuigan, the wife of the senior victim and the mother of the junior victim, was in the household, although not where the homicides were conducted, but came into the room shortly thereafter. The defendant had taken flight at that point. But it would have been devastating, and it is devastating for this family, all of this family. It's a large family. They're very close, they're very loving of one another, and well-known and good reputations in the community. Men of faith who were just shot dead on a perceived antiquated motivation that, from the Crown's perspective, makes absolutely no sense at all.